Hello, and thanks for joining us on another edition of Public Conscience on Radio, a production of the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development with support from the MacArthur Foundation. I am Chukwudi Okoliubaja, standing in again for Ohiria Abonsuremi. He'll soon be back. My co-presenter today is Adobe Obiabumo.
Thanks for joining us on the program.
And we will remind you again that we talk copiously about corruption on Public Conscience on Radio. But as you know, too, we take up honesty and integrity when we need to.
In Nigeria, we have shining examples of citizens who are daily resisting corruption and have carved out for themselves image of integrity and honesty.
We have one of such Nigerians in the studio today, a woman who has become a shining example in her office and in society as well. Dr. Igbolo Magdalene is a seasoned lecturer and currently serves as the head of Department of Sociology at the University of Abuja, where she helps to build the next generation of responsible leaders in Nigeria.
Her outspokenness against exam malpractice, gender inequality, has gained her recognition amongst students and her colleagues in the university.
This amiable pride of Nigeria has, through a strong commitment to being a good citizen, entered the Hall of Fame of the prestigious Integrity Idol Nigeria Awards 2017. Remember that the awards are anchored by our partners, that is Accountability Lab Nigeria. Welcome to Public Conscience on Radio.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Before we go to the questions, the WhatsApp number is 0902-265-6167. I'll take that again, 0902-265-6167. We begin by asking your background as a child, a student, and your early years in the university.
My background as a child, I think I had the best of childhood. And growing up with an auntie, I didn't grow up with my parents.
Okay.
It was a bit tough, really, because she was a very disciplined, principled. But of course, she made sure we had the best of education, the best of everything life could offer to us, she gave to us. And of course, that leads me to talking about my education. I had the best of primary education. Then Catholic schools were the best. And I went to Catholic primary schools and a Catholic secondary school. And then the University of Calabar at the time, so I'm in my Malabres. And then I had my first 2 degrees in University of Calabar before proceeding to ABU Zaria to acquire my PhD. Education, as I was talking about, is one of the major roles of change in our society. And when you give a child a good education, you can be sure that that child is going to turn out very well in the society, which my foundation actually provided. Now, a whole lot has happened in my life that basically takes roots or draws from the kind of upbringing I had, which was the very best.
Okay. Education seems to be sound to me like an ocean. Where do you draw the line between intellectual acquisition and what etiquette or manners give you? Because that, I think, is responsible for being a good man or woman.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said the foundation is very important. Okay. Now, if you come from a family that insists on certain things to be done, it builds you up as a person. So when you go into the society to acquire education, it only adds up to what you've already learned from the home front. And that's why, as sociologists, we insist on good socialization of the children. And the family is the bedrock of that socialization. Once it is faulty from the family, it's difficult to correct it in the society.
When we catch a rare gem like you, we want to know from them how, taken from your environment, lecturers and students can borrow from the likes of you in spite of the economic situation in the country, which many people are blaming for the vices we tend to see among us.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, I think a whole lot needs to be done about what is going on in our society right now. So many people blame the society for what is happening, blame institutions, blame politicians, blame everything around them for what is going on. But you see, it has to start with you as a person. If you identify the things that you think are right and you stand by them and you want to do those things that are right, you will always get it right, in spite of all the opposition you're going to be experiencing in the society. That's not to say that institutions of the society are actually doing very well, especially in our own country. Because you see, if the institutions are not properly empowered to do the things that they are supposed to do, for instance, fighting corruption, there's little or nothing that those institutions can do.
We take the fight to your premises. What is responsible for corruption in the university environment?
What is responsible? So much is responsible for corruption.
In the university environment?
Yes. Now, first and foremost, I think it's the inability of those in authorities to do the things that they are supposed to do. Now, if somebody is caught for committing a crime, there are rules and regulations that guide every organization in the society. And that's why the developed world seem to be getting it right all the time, because when you break a rule, you are punished for what you have done. You are not, nobody looks at you as he's my brother or she's my sister or she comes from wherever and all that and all that. Sentiments are removed completely and people are punished for crimes that they commit. Now, if you come to a university, any university in the world, I mean, by the name, we know that what happens in Abuja should be what is happening any other place in the world. And if we have rules and regulations that people must abide by, and then people are not doing so, people should be punished accordingly. But we find a situation where once somebody commits a crime, sentiments begin to come in. He comes from your place. Why do you want to punish him? She's your sister. Well, don't you know she's related to you? Don't you know she's from the same department with you and all that and all that? And people begin to do all manner of things to cover up what the person has done. And I think as a person that if we have to continue on that path, I'm sorry, there's little or nothing that we can do to salvage the situation.
Any advice for students and lecturers in the higher institutions?
Now, let me start with my students. A lot of them see me as their role model, particularly because they think there's something they need to learn, because there's something that I do, there's something about me, is that what I tell you is black is black. If it is white, it is white. If it's something I can do, I'll tell you I can do it. If I can't do it, I'll tell you I cannot do it. And so a lot of them come around me and feel comfortable around me because if I tell you I'll do it, I will do it. Okay. And so for a lot of them who come to school in University of Abuja, I tell them the first reason that you came to University of Abuja is to study. Now, the Gwagwalada weather is not very favorable. And we all know, everybody says it's the hottest part of Abuja. And so I tell them, if you came to Gwagwalada, you left all the comforts everywhere and come to stay in Gwagwalada. Something brought you. And that thing is for you to study and acquire a degree. So put everything you need to put to acquire that degree in the right direction, not cut corners and all that. And all, because, of course, we know that society has also enabled people to cut corners, because there are people that can be sorted. There are those that cannot be sorted. Because I say it everywhere, I cannot be sorted. So when you come to my class, my first lecture, I give you an introduction into my person and into the course. So if you think as you're coming into my class, it's an opportunity for you to think, oh, I can go back to her and start asking for things that I shouldn't be asking for, just know that you've met the wrong person. Okay, that's for my students. So put all the effort that you need to put to pass your exams and acquire the degree that brought you to University of Abuja. For my colleagues, now, there are times that we take a lot of things for granted. I tell people, sometimes those things you think you do in secret, a student comes to meet you in your office or you arrange wherever and to meet with the students, and you meet. Eventually, it is between the two of you. You might just think it's just the two of you, but somebody else might be there watching. And if no other person is watching, the big man upstairs is watching what you're doing. So at all times and in all situations, try to do what is right, so that that little thing you did that was right in secret someday could be a testimonial for you that you need for something else in the future.
I'm going to ask you the question of having the courage of your convictions. Because I can tell you that there are young people who would like to be like you. Very important one. How do we curb the sex or money for marks syndrome in the higher institutions?
Okay, sex or money for marks. Now, if people are properly empowered to speak out and to report, a whole lot will stop. You see, we are in a society where we think that our culture permits a lot of things. So people just do things, and then there's this conspiracy of silence. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to speak out. Even when you're hurting, even when you're traumatized in the process, nobody wants to speak about it. Of course, we are aware of the famous case that is going on about, but a lot of people are now asking, why now? Why is she speaking out now? And then I ask, why not now? It could even take 50 years and she decides to speak up after 50 years. But the important thing is that somebody has spoken up. For the first time, we've heard somebody speak about rape, which is something that people don't talk about. In the academia, we know these things happen on daily basis.
Daily?
Yeah.
You frighten us.
No. But that's the truth. The problem we have is that these things are not reported because the people who are victims of these crimes do not have the enablement to come out and speak. They feel, if I speak out, I'll be punished, I'll be victimized, this will happen to me, this will not happen to me, and all that. And so we see that so many people just have to live with it, pass through the university, go their way, and it ends there.
Mrs. Igbolo, I see you are the interviewer's delight. You are going to talk to us some within the program. But for now, we have this pattern of opening up the lines for our listeners to, contribute their quota to the entire process. And that's what we're about to do now. Adobe, can we?
And the number to send your WhatsApp messages are 0809 265 6167.
Yes, while we are waiting for the calls to pour in, because they usually do, I think there's one in already.
Hello, your name?
My name is Magdalene.
Okay, your contribution, please.
Yeah, I have a question to ask.
Okay.
I'd like to find out if is it every sexual approach that should be classified as rape, and what is the difference between sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and rape? Thank you.
Thank you. Is it every act that would qualify as rape, where there's no consent and all that?
Okay.
There's a call. Hello.
My name is Dana.
Your contribution,
Madam, I'd like
please.
to commend you and congratulate you for your stand and your principle.
Thank you, sir.
This is one of the most important parts of every academic instructor. A lot of things have been mixed up from the university because that's actually where the real values are imparted. I schooled in Ahmadu Bello University, and I had a lecturer during that time that their salaries were just around 2,000 naira or thereabouts. He was my lecturer in the Faculty of Engineering. This man decided to convert his personal car to be carrying students as passengers in the gates to the other campus. There was nothing you could do to influence this man's decision to award marks. Nothing whatsoever. He had a female friend in our class, and she thought she was going to take advantage of the closeness. He was just giving her books, go and read. And she was playing because maybe she thought, I know this one, I'm close to him, kind of. And she failed the course, and he actually gave her the marks that she got. So I went back, I had to congratulate, and it was later on I started seeing the importance and the value of what he had done. Madam, you don't know what you're doing. You're building, that's the true building of leadership.
Yeah.
The corruption in the system, the decadence in our system, is as a result of the values that students imbibe in university.
Yeah.
Leonard, thanks so much.
You just come with that mentality that I can sort myself out, I can sort the teacher out, I can sort the lecturer out, and then what?
Thank you so
we really
much.
appreciate that. Sorry we had to go. We just want to give as many opportunities as we can to other people. So please don't get annoyed that we had to go there. Hello.
This is Adewumi Daniel.
Wow,
I
Adewumi.
want to speak about the issue of this story that Madam speak about. I'm not fault for the pastor, but Madam, I want you to understand something that in this country called Nigeria, human being, we can go to any length to send somebody's image. It's not that I'm backing the pastor or I say the lady did not say the truth. Because you mentioned one thing, say, when Nigeria say why now? Even me, I'm among of those who said it's a why now. Why don't we hear this? You know now, number one, there's no evidence about that. People can pay to tarnish your image, God forbid. People ready to pay, people ready to swear that I swear to God, this thing that I'm talking about happened. Look at the people who are protesting. How do they get to that? Which day, this day, think about it, brother. Which day all of them come out?
Adewumi.
You understand?
Adewumi.
It may be true.
Adewumi.
There's no evidence. But what I just want to do is that the people can go to any length to send somebody's image.
Yes.
Look at politicians. You will hear that when you are in primary school, you still let somebody's school and not in school. Your father is sick. And you will find way to clean yourself.
Okay.
There won't be any way for you.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to say. It may not be true. Let's just wait for what the police and the court will judge. We cannot say it is true that the guy did it. It can happen. It cannot be. It cannot happen.
Thank you. Now, we need to say this. Adewumi, you derailed us, but because you are a wonderful contributor here, we couldn't cut you off. The point is, the subject we have taken up today happens to be actuality within the university, setting and all that. And we need you as our callers to concentrate on this and tell us how you think we can get around it or totally eradicate it from our campuses. Let's please concentrate on that.
We have another caller. Hello. Your name, please, and your contribution.
My name is Benga, calling from Latam.
Okay.
See, where there is no seller, there can be buyer. If you look at what is happening on the campus, I've passed through different campuses, and I've seen that, number one, where you see the students themselves, where they failed their study and they really get what it takes. No lecturer can be able to, lure you or coerce you to any sexual harassment. You will see that ladies who are refused to study, who are going about, partying and the rest, they want a way out. It is when there is a kind of disagreement between the buyer and the seller that you are now hear of intimidation, you now get this thing coming out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
If anyone sells cannabis, marijuana to you, would you buy? There's a seller.
I would buy because I don't smoke.
Same thing. If somebody, same thing.
If there are no willing ladies,
fine.
Cannot. If, like now, you are in a class, you are a professor.
The lady is willing to give you illegitimacy, something that hurts your conscience. Why would you take it?
You don't understand what I'm saying. In a class, a lecturer is one of 50. The average student is always getting like 50 above. On what ground will lecturer come and meet you and say, I want to give you A, so come and meet me somewhere? Because you say, look, I'm convenient with my C, I'm convenient with my B. But when they get attend classes, it doesn't do his learning, attend to do tests and assignments, and he wants to pass. Then I make a way for the lecturer to demand what they demand. That's my own.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The WhatsApp number again is 0902 265 6167.
0902-265-6167. That's the WhatsApp number. There's a call coming in again. Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Mazi.
Mazi, your contribution, please.
Okay, my contribution is this. Is there any law that they're going to pass into this university that any lecturer they caught in this type of act should be punished immediately without no delay? Why should I say so? I have a sister that she got her mark in a jam at I will mention the university because almost 2 times because of she refused to give a sex to a lecturer. That's why they decided not to have admission in that Abia State University precisely. I will say it because I am from Abia State and I know what I'm saying. Is there any law that's going to pass that any lecturer they pass or lesson and this sort of rubbish should be punished immediately, not without delay? Thank you.
Thank you. Before the next call comes in, Mrs. Igbolo, how do you want to respond to some of the things they've said so far?
He's talking about a student who is not even a student of a university, and the lecturer is demanding sex for admission. I don't know how that happens, but I think that something is wrong somewhere. Now, we are talking about those who are already in the university, and there's a point I want to clarify. One of the callers said something about girls who are not ready to read. It's not only girls who sort. Boys also sort. Yeah, everybody sorts. That's the truth. The young, the old, everybody just sorts. I mean, even people who come in as postgraduate students sort. And the point I used to make is this: for a postgraduate student, nobody asked you to come to school. It's out of your own volition. And so when you decide to come to school, you have made up your mind that you want to be a master in this area, and therefore you don't have any reason going to anybody to ask for marks. Yeah. Now, the impression everybody has when we are talking about sex for marks is like it's just about the female students and the male lecturers and so on. But so much else happens. There are guys who go to female lecturers to ask for marks too. So it's not just a female student, male lecturer thing. Now, the laws exist everywhere. The laws exist. Every university has its regulations around sexual harassments and all that, and malpractices of all kinds. And of course, the laws also exist in the society. That's why we heard of a professor that was recently jailed for sextortion. Okay,
at least it has happened for the first time.
Yeah, it has happened for the first time.
Yes.
I mean, what business does anybody have doing that as a professor? That's a question I used to ask. Because the thing about sex is that it could be an agreement between you and the person. So if you have those who are willing that you can talk to and they agree, society allows it.
They're above 18.
Yeah, they are adults, and so they can agree to have sex with you. If that happens, why bother going to the one that says no?
Those comments coming in at the right time. We really appreciate this. We had to ask you to talk at this point. Otherwise, we would have collected everything at the end. I hear that there are more calls coming in. And while that call is coming in, would you kindly tell us the difference between sexual assault and rape, in line with the first question asked by one of our callers? Is it possible?
Okay, when we talk about sexual assault, it goes beyond just having sex with the person. It could be touching, it could be verbal comments that you make to the person. It could be just the way you express your feeling about the person. Because, in our own climb, we take a lot of things for granted. For instance, a lady who just comes and, even as your colleague, comes into your office, and you're not only stopping at saying, oh, you look good. You're looking good, you're looking beyond what she's wearing to trying to undress her with your eyes and all that. That's harassment. But here we take it for granted because we just think that he didn't do anything wrong. After all, he didn't touch her.
But many ladies don't seem to fight it off. And it hurts my imagination.
That's what we are talking about, because society seems to permit it too.
I saw an incident in the US.
Yeah.
The lady shouted, "Don't touch me."
Yeah.
Next time she said, "Don't paw me." Did you do? I put you in jail.
That's a society that is empowered, because she knows if she speaks out, people will support her. People will stand by her and say, and support the fact that she even spoke out. But here, nobody will speak out, because the first thing you do, they think you're the one who went to seduce the man.
You're on your own.
The moment it happens, are you sure she was not dressing in a particular manner? All kinds of questions will be coming up. I mean, is it because the man is rich, like the ones that I've been hearing around my environment? Because a pastor is rich, that's why the girl is speaking out, and all of those kind of things. So when that happens, it's harassment. And then when there's actual activity of penetration, we call that rape.
Let's not go beyond this, so don't get too clinical about it. There's a call in. Hello.
Okay, my name is Omomina.
Go on.
Madam, I thought I wanted to say something about.
Okay.
Because some people that some days ago now they hear about that really about these things. Some people cannot talk because they believe they cannot get justice in society when they are carried on. So they cannot grab the good people and ask them to reach out that they are under or that they are problems. Maybe this one that's going on now is letting out big opportunity. There are many people are waiting for this particular person now to get justice so that they will get out.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know how we segment this program, Public Conscience. It is actually time to bring you our Vox Pop.
I don't want to believe that all Nigerians is corrupt. It's all about our mindset. Even in government, it's not everybody is corrupt, but we have a dirty hands. What is corruption? Doing what is wrong at the right time with a wrong motive. How many people that have done well have you ever celebrated?
In Nigeria, you discover that they celebrate more of the, in quotes, bad people. So people tend to look at those that are good, in quotes, as people that are not appreciated. So you discover that most people, even when they are good, they tend to hide under the umbrella as being neutral or even being the bad ones. So people will tend to celebrate them because in Nigeria, people celebrate more of the bad people than the good people.
It's not all Nigerians that are corrupt. There are Nigerians with integrity. But the problem is that not many of them have been spotted out as people with integrity. Why is that? Most of the people whom you see them, maybe they give them award or other things, are people who went and buy or who bought award in the name of their integrity or they are doing fine in one area or another. So because of that, people who have integrity are not always spot out.
Government can call them and reward them. It may not be financial reward. Something, there's a way you appreciate someone, you give appraisal to someone, and a person hold it to high esteem.
We are not all corrupt. In every society, there must be righteous people and there must be sinners. All we have to do is to propagate and then sensitize the citizens about the importance of fighting against corruption.
Those were quite interesting comments there. It goes on and on. Sometimes we get in a dispute over these things. We actually devoted more time to you because our integrity icons are a window to further thinking on the question of corruption and all that. That's why we allotted you that much time. But we can still take about 3 more calls. Hello.
Hello. Somebody calling back.
Okay, Emmanuel, quickly. We are almost leaving. Go on.
All right. Yes, I want to emphasize on the rape and these sexual assaults. Then this rape is when you forcefully penetrate somebody by force. They're using force, or you might use weapon, or you force somebody to have carnal knowledge of the person. But when you assault somebody is when you induce the person. You can drop somebody when the person is not conscious, doesn't know what she's doing, he or she's doing. Then you have knowledge of that person. That is an action.
Emmanuel, thank you. We said we didn't want to get too clinical, but you've taken us to the clinic about it. It's okay. Any more call coming in there?
We have a WhatsApp message from Ima, and it says, I want to let you know that most of the lecturers do ask for bribe in the name of selling books, and you signed for it. He has an example from University of Abuja that he could even mention names, but we don't want you to mention names, sir.
I didn't want to sound like a stingy father. I complained to my 3 kids, these monies you asked me to bring, it's as if they are forced to buy particular literature or books from their lecturers. They could have garnered such knowledge from other sources, but they tie them to the publications by these lecturers. Is that not corruption?
Like we said, it's not everybody who does that. Now, some people do that. And university has a rule.
Surely you don't do that, do you?
No, I don't. University has a rule that every lecturer who has published a book in an area should have the books in the school bookshop. And so all that a lecturer is supposed to do is to recommend the text to his students to go and buy from the school bookshop. Now, when you do that, you are doing the right thing. because, whether we like it or not, we have to promote local authorship of books. That's the way to show that you're also contributing to knowledge and you're also growing on your job. Now, but there are those other ones that actually want the money coming quick, because when you buy through the bookshop, it takes a process for you to get your money. It will go to the university account and then they take their percentage before it is paid to you, and sometimes it is quite difficult. So some people want it quick and they go to the classes, insist that students buy these books directly from them, or they pass it through class reps and all that. These things do happen, but the point we are making here is that if people are punished for breaking rules and regulations, a whole lot will stop. In University of Abuja, for example, I know that a lot happens, but it's one university that there was a position at some point that you can't sell handouts to students. And a lot of people who were caught doing that were punished.
They were trying to guard against abuse, possible abuse.
Yeah, probably. Because people just go to the internet, do cut and paste, and just put it together and sell to students at 2,000 and above and call it handouts and all that. And of course, the VC at that time took a stand against it. And for that period, in fact, even up till now, because those who are law-abiding are still afraid you can't sell handout to students in University of Abuja. So in order to check the handout thing, some of them now put it together and call it books. And they're selling it to students. But you see, these are the things we are talking about. If we have a way of checking some of these things, a whole lot will stop.
I'm going to ask you, how many people can be counted like you? Because my friend said that the world is actually saved by a few good men.
Yeah.
But there's a call coming in. Hello. Oh, okay, fine. So, do you have a guidance and counseling unit? These are institutions who can help shore up the courage of students in pain over these matters.
Yeah, we do, but it's a very recent development. Over the years, we didn't have a unit, a guidance and counseling unit, but right now we do. And students are expected to go to the guidance and counseling unit if they have any problems, But I think basically this was put in place because of what is going on in society, people suffering depression, having academic problems and all that. And so you can go there to, get help.
There's a call coming in.
Hello?
Go on, please.
Nicholas is calling you from Gwagwalada.
Thank you, Nicholas.
I don't work alone. Yes, I want to say here that I'm not encouraging lecturers from forcing their books on students. But how about, or I've seen in situations whereby perhaps the lecturer will take that pain to write a book and then put it out there for sale. And then you discover that students don't even buy it. Some of them will prefer to, maybe the few that will buy, they will now go and collect from them and go and photocopy them so that they can have their own copy. And then that lecturer, all his sweat is just languishing there. There's no remuneration for it. He doesn't get any reward for it. And that is why you see that most lecturers will want to force it on students, because we have come to discover that in Nigeria, if you don't force it on people, they don't do it. Because we are not law-abiding at all. Most of us are not law-abiding. And that is why you see that lecturers will want to force these students to buy this book, because they will not even read it. You must buy it and you must read it and all those things. Students don't live they don't abide by all these things.
Okay, thank you very much. We are taking another call.
Hello.
Go on.
My name is Namdi. I'm calling from Warrenburg.
Good.
Yeah, with regards to this lecturer-student issue, especially concerning buying of textbooks, I think it shouldn't be made mandatory. It shouldn't, not in any way. I finished from Federal University of Technology, not for one day were students mandated to prepare. Lecturers write their books quite all right, but the school has a policy that those books must be kept at the bookshop. If you want students to buy, you tell them to go to the bookshop and buy your textbook. And if students are willing to buy, they buy. If they are not willing to buy and they feel they can read from other textbooks, right? Make it mandatory or compulsory that students must buy your textbook. It's also a violation against the right of the students.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have a WhatsApp message from Lagi Aguas, and it's a suggestion. He said that students should be mandated to evaluate lecturers in this season, and also students should learn to turn in their books, especially those writing theses, for plagiarism check. He feels that this is one of the ways where we can curb sex for money in the university.
Okay, that's a good one. They talked about lecturers who need to be patronized. Does this situation make some lecturers so miserable because there's no local patronage that coercion becomes an option? Does it happen that way?
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. Now, you see, we have a situation where young people don't want to read anymore. And I'm sure that's not the way you grew up. You grew up where you read textbooks, proper textbooks, novels, and all that. And I used to tell them that in my time in secondary school, we used to compete at the beginning of every term. We are sharing our ideas on books we read during the holidays. Yes. Because there were really no televisions to watch. Not that we didn't have, but they were regulated. Now, we didn't have DSTV and satellite television at that time, so you only had NTA coming up at 4 o'clock.
The sources of knowledge were limited.
So throughout the day, you didn't have anything to watch except by 4 when you joined NTA to watch the news. Now, reading was a major part of our lives. Right now, even books that are just telling stories, novels and stuff, young people don't want to read. So when lecturers write books, you find them only interested in what they think will come out in examination. Other than that, they are not interested in the textbook.
So you're even managing the seeming laid-back attitude towards intellectual matters.
Yeah, with all that is available on the internet now, if students are serious, everybody will graduate with a first class. Because there's so much information on the net.
Have you started thinking about giving them audio books?
We recommend audiobooks. We have an e-library. We have facilities that are available for them to access. I know that sometimes university has its own shortcomings because sometimes you go there, they say they have not subscribed. But you can actually have access to this information. They carry big phones that have all the information that they can get.
That the lecturers might not even afford.
Exactly. But you see that they are not interested. So if a lecturer writes a book, just like one caller said, all they do is one person will buy. And the whole class will photocopy.
That's corruption.
I mean, that's corruption. And it's a lecturer that is losing because he has put in so much.
It could also be that the students are not financially up to well.
Well, you won't tell me that everybody in the class will not be financially well enough to buy a book of 2,000 naira, sometimes 1,000, sometimes 2,500.
Sometimes the parents send the money.
Yeah, they give them the money.
Data.
Buy
so can be on Facebook and Instagram.
Do hair of 15,000 naira and all that, which is more than half of their school fees, actually. And so you see all of these things happening. And they don't buy books. They're not interested. They won't buy. So sometimes, for some lecturers who feel that the best way to go is to coerce them into getting the books. They come up with all kinds of things. Some give assignments and say, go to so page and get the answers to the assignment and do it and submit. And then you must write your name and sign that you have bought the book. So, I mean, we as a society need to do something to encourage local authorship. Because we cannot grow as a country if we don't promote reading culture.
But it seems that these young people don't seem to believe that they have a problem when you say that they don't read anymore. Is it that we're too old-fashioned and they can't understand us anymore?
Well, I think part of it is the problem with technology. But you see, I don't blame technology completely because if you open to your phone, for instance, if you go to WhatsApp, for example, you see all kinds of things being circulated. A lot of them have a lot of information. You know, you can actually read some of the things that circulate on social media and learn a lot about Nigeria or about what is going on in the current political situation. But you see that they are not interested. When the write-up is too long, they just scroll up, move to the next one. And they are not reading, they are not learning anything about what is there. So when you are now insisting, even with your children, go and read your books. The only thing is about reading to pass exams, and which is not supposed to be. You read because you're interested in reading, because you love to read, because when you read, your mind opens up to see the world in a different way. I tell my students that for every time I pick a book to read, there's always something new to learn. There's always one English word I have not seen before, and I'm going to learn for the first time. And I mean, seeing it will push me to go looking for the meaning of the word. But they are not interested. They write English for you here. In fact, you'll be shocked.
And all the English in the world is on Google.
Yeah.
All the English in the world. They tell you when the preposition should be on and not in.
Yeah.
Everything is there. But our kids don't seem to want to see that. Now, I am told that it is gradually getting to time to go. You are the interviewer's delight. The desire for me is for us to talk on. It's not going to work that way.
Yeah.
Give us a final piece of advice before we stride out of the studios.
Well, I think my advice is it's in different segments now. To those in the society and those in positions of authority, I think there's a whole lot they need to do to correct that which is happening in the society now. If we have to make a headway as a country, so much needs to be changed. So much needs to be committed to, so that we don't just make rules and leave them hanging. Because part of our problem is because we don't enforce rules and regulations, so people commit crimes and go scot-free. And then the issue of sentiments for everything that is done, people begin to think about where you come from, which God you worship, who is your relation, who is not your relation. If we remove sentiments from the way we run businesses, a whole lot will be achieved in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Adobe, a final word and our social media platforms where we can be reached even outside the studio.
We are not all corrupt. And I want to encourage all of us to resist corruption as much as we can. And our WhatsApp number is 0902-265-6167. Our social media platforms are all at Official Primorg, and you can also watch the YouTube version of this episode at Primorg TV.
Yes, we have been talking to Mrs. Magdalene Igbolo. Did I get that name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Good. We've been talking to Mrs. Magdalene Igbolo. She's the head of Department of Sociology. And we have been talking to her on a very piquant topic, on a very important topic. We pray that you have garnered and gathered a lot of things from the talk. We can only ask you now to formally sign off on the program. Thanks for coming.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We're going to have you again, on and on. I don't know. We would like to talk to the likes of
anytime.
You. Adobe.
Anytime.
Let's do this again next week. Thank you.
And of course, it gives me great joy to know you're out there all the time listening to us. What more can I say than more than it has been a great privilege? Next week is another date. Bye now.